Hey everybody, it's me again. Today we are taking a look at all of, or not all of, or at least some of, a little sneak peek into the mounts, pets, transmogs that are coming in 11.1. We're going to take a look at what mounts, pets, achievements I got this week and what I'm looking to get next week. And also I wanted to give you guys an update on my Road to 500 mounts guide that I've been working on. I have the next step coming out very soon, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we're up on this Tuesday morning. Also, before I keep going, I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. It's New Year's Eve, so I hope everyone has a wonderful New Year's Eve and they stay safe out there. Have a good time. I know my wife and I will be promptly going to bed at 9:30 after watching the British Baking Show, so it's gonna be a wild night. So anyway, let's look at what we got coming in 11.1. Now, honestly, and I know I tend to be on the positive side of things, but I don't know if I've ever been more excited for a patch than I have been for 11.1 for a few reasons. Number one, I I love goblins and I love the goblin culture. One of my favorite fantasy, I don't know if you'd call it a genre. I guess it's fantasy environments that I prefer, or set pieces is steampunk. I love that kind of like futuristic, but yet has a lot of analog to it. Think like cyberpunk, think like Blade Runner. I really enjoy those things, or even like the Arcane show has a lot of that kind of vibe, that steampunk vibe. So this is really doing it for me. And they're really leaning into a lot of like the mechanical kind of mounts. When I started WoW, we were in Mechagon, and I still haven't actually. I didn't really have a lot of time to do a lot of that stuff there, but there was a lot of cool, like that motorcycle mount, a mount that looks a lot like the mount we're about to look at first. This one that you can get from some of the dungeons there. I really enjoy these more mechanical takes on flying or ground mounts in the game. So this is really exciting to me, as well as the design decision to like have this paint, but it's faded. I don't know. They even have like kind of the Jinx vibe with like the angry smiley face. I'm super excited about it. So let's take a look. These are some of the goblin themed mounts that are coming. This first one, we have kind of this single person flying unit. Again, this reminds me a lot of Mechagon. Super excited to have this. Oh, we got Maya. So this is Maya, by the way. This is my cat, one of my cats. Hey Maya, say hi. She doesn't like mounts, but that's okay. Hi everybody. Oh wow, what a baby. All right, so we're gonna look at mounts together. So it looks like we have the red, we have a blue variation, we have a kind of plain black variation, and oh, and that's it. So I'm not really, the purpose of this video is of this series, this show, this collector show. I don't really want to get into like the weeds of how to get these mounts or like where they're from. I just kind of want to share my love for collecting in the game and just kind of gush over like the new stuff and get excited about it. So a lot of the mounts I've been seeing in the pets have like this kind of same color scheme. So I'm curious if this is going to be kind of tied to the reputation of the different cartels down there. So that's really exciting. I'm excited about that. Next, we have these hyena mounts. I love I love how aggressive these things are. You're kind of taking a classic ground mount of the hyena and then adding the goblin flare. Again, seeing these kind of recurring colors of the blue and the green. Really, really adorable, really cute. Love this. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like when the announcement came out, I feel like this was the only thing I needed to see. They could have said, "Hey guys, we're releasing 11.1, and you can have a T-Rex mount." I'd be like, "Good, I'm good. Let me like take my money." Like this thing is insane. No, this is a raid drop, so that concerns me a touch because and it's like a mid raid drop. I think it drops from the encounter that has the T-Rex in it. So I'm a little concerned about how easy this will be to get. I'm hoping that it will be something that pretty much anyone that's willing to step in the raid will have the opportunity to get, and even with a little bit of a drop rate, I'm fine with that, because this is probably the coolest mount in the game, I have to say. It's insanely cool. This actually brings me into the topic of ground mounts versus flying mounts. I'd love to get your take on this in the comments. When I was playing WoW and BFA or even Shadowlands, ground mounts were really prevalent because there was a lot of places like Zareth Mortis or running around Oribos, like the city, the main hub city, you couldn't fly. So ground mounts were still prevalent. They were still something that you saw a lot of people on. But when Dragonflight came out, we have dragon riding, and then flying was kind of from the get go. So it almost felt like all of these cool ground mounts. Because honestly, like some of my favorite mounts that I have in my collection can't fly, and I was kind of bummed that the game kind of went into a direction where there's not really a lot of opportunities to show off your ground mounts or just see people in ground mounts because people are constantly flying. Now you could see that some people are in the city and have ground mounts on, but honestly, they're mostly Brutosaurs or Yaks. And then obviously, like in dungeons, people are running around. But I'm really excited, honestly, that the Undermine will be ground mounts only, so we can ride on stuff like this. Because it would be such a bummer to get this cool mount and then like have nowhere to ride it because everyone's flying, right? But and so I think it'll be cool. But they obviously with the new patch are doing that drive mechanic where they're doing kind of like a sky riding but for the ground. I'm really curious, and I would love to see if they did this, is if they take that mechanic, the drive mechanic of like drifting and acceleration and how it's technically faster, you can get to faster speeds than you can with sky riding. I'm wondering if they're like priming us to do like a ground version of sky riding to basically give a reason for people to ride around their ground mounts, because technically it's faster and it might be more fun to like run around on this guy. And he might not be able to drift, but maybe he can, or maybe he could drift. Maybe he has a cool animation where he's like, he kind of like skids across the ground or something. I think it'd be cool for them to implement an equivalent system for the ground mounts that in your collection, and to make it so like I feel like it would revive half of my collection of mounts that I almost never ride. And I think that's a really bummer too. I talked about this in the very first video I made. My first mount collecting guide is the 500 mountain achievement, and a lot of the mountain achievements are ground mounts, and the Atuk mount, the 500 mount reward, can't skyride. So it really kind of stinks that like I worked really hard. I worked for like multiple years to get this mount, and I love it. I love the otter mounts. I love the whole look of it. But it feels bad to ride it when you could just be riding a skywriting mount. And I've made videos about how I like to take things slow, and there's definitely times where I do steady flying. But I don't know. Sometimes you want to just be able to pop up in the air and do that little spin move and kind of fly to your next destination. I would love to be able to do that on this friggin' guy. Look at this guy. Like, imagine getting on him in Dornegal and you're like booking it over to like the world boss that's right next to there, and instead of flying, you're like just like crashing your way through on this thing. So friggin' cool. Anyway, tangent over. Next, we have a kind of the Love Rocket. I forgot what they renamed it, but this is essentially the Love Rocket with again these kind of color scheme variations, which are assuming are about the Quartels. I like the little again the kind of Jinx design here of the kind of ominous smiley face there. Really cool. I'm a sucker for just simple, this black and red color scheme. They have this for they have it for this guy as well, and for the one above it too. So that is definitely going to be my go-to. So there's some of the mounts that Wowhead has data mined. Next, we're going to be looking at the Delver's dirigible adjustments. I love the dirigible. I loved the customizations of the Dragonflight mounts. The only thing I didn't like about that I could argue against the customizations is I would almost always prefer, and she's gone. I would almost always prefer to have more mounts than to collect like the customizations of the mounts. I wasn't a huge fan of like collecting the customizations for the Dragonfly mounts. However, for whatever reason, it might be just because this is more of like a car, like a machine, right? So the customizations feel a little better. I don't know, the armors for Dragonflight and for those dragon mounts didn't really do it for me. And honestly, I really only liked the Protodrake model. So even if I was collecting the armors or customizations for the other variations of the dragon mounts. Like I didn't really like the other models to begin with. The Drake one was okay, but anyway, come on. Like, what are we doing here? This is insane. I just last week talked about getting the void version of this, and this just like makes that look stupid. Look at this thing. This is insanely cool. It goes with like the greed, the over the top theme of the kind of like the goblins. I really, of all of the customizations, I really prefer this kind of Zeppelin variation with like the balloon on top. And I love that it's the way they modeled it is that it's kind of separate from the actual cart itself, so that when you're moving around, I can even show this in game. Let me see. So if I get on my dirigible here, how this piece is kind of like independent of the actual card itself just looks so cool. So really, really excited about that. I really love delves. I've been really enjoying them recently, and so I am looking forward to continuing to collect these customizations. Next, we're looking at I don't think this exists right now on the current model, but these lights look pretty unique. Is that what this is? Airship colors. No, so either way, the colors are cool, but I love the lights here. The kind of almost like a sentry. It reminds me of the my wife's playing Breath of the Wild. It reminds me of the Guardians that fly in the air. Really love that. This right here, again, getting a lot of Jinx vibes. I mean, it's the goblins. It kind of got that same feel. A little harpoon coming out of the kind of like the shark monster mouth here. Super awesome. Cone. It's fine. That's fine. More exhaust and pipe variations. We have that. I already talked about how I really like the balloon variations. This kind of almost piratey theme here with the rockets on the side. Love that. Love that very much. And then just some rockets, that makes sense, and some flamethrowers. As always, very cool. Next, kind of a weird side thing, but coming in 11.1 are these Graden Gnome armor sets. Really digging this. I unironically rolled a Gnome mage just for this. He has to look like this. I'm gonna make him look just like this. I love the RP that can happen with something like a Graden Gnome. I don't know about you, but when I make WoW tunes, to be honest, most of the characters I make, I never really intend to play them in any serious manner. It's more just for fun. So I like to create like a headcanon, like a little story around their class and their race. And Gnome is something that I've always really enjoyed their aesthetic, but I've never made one. So I'm excited to level a little Frost Mage Gnome and then make him into a Garden Gnome. So cute. And then obviously my Paladin will be a gnome at some point for raid. Really love this. I'll be interested to see how we get these. Again, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to spoil it. Can't wait for that. Next, honestly, if we're looking at collecting as mounts, pets, and transmogs, and maybe like let's say achievements, transmogs might take the cake for me of my favorite part of this game. One of the main reasons I play Paladin and Human is because of the armor sets. I think Paladin, Warrior, and Death Knight, the plate armor I think looks the best. I think it looks the best on humans. And I think when I was starting the game, that was one of the things, like when I was on like the character select screen, the Paladin looked the coolest to me. So playing dress up, I don't know if you've played Warframe before. I played Warframe well before I played WoW, and a lot of people call it fashion frame, or like the end game is like the customization. And I think for me, World of Warcraft has kind of turned into that. Honestly, there's some days where I feel like I raid only to get the armor sets. The friends are cool and all that stuff, but the armor sets, man, they do it for me. So this is the outdoor armor sets. And I was talking to my guild Discord the other day, and one of my guildies was talking about how they were kind of bummed that the tier sets weren't super goblin themed. Luckily though, which I agree with him. I think I'll have another video, a separate video on my thoughts on the tier sets. But they are kind of more just like generic towards. They have a constant theme, but it's definitely more towards the class fantasy, which I kind of like. These kind of world sets, these outdoor armor sets, are definitely, excuse me, definitely leaning into this kind of like steampunk goblin theme, which I'm really happy about. So really excited about these. These remind me of the Arathi model mounts as the Arathi Transmog, the outdoor Transmogs as well. So we're looking at the cloth model. I like that that's this top piece, which kind of looks like I don't know, like a vial, like it has liquid in it, and it's going into the shoulder pieces, and it's kind of like going through all of his armor here into the gauntlets, into the belt. It almost kind of looks like a crown, especially from the back. It gives me like crown vibes. Really enjoy that. Pretty evil looking too. Now this is very much. I sometimes feel like leather gets the short end of the stick sometimes because I feel like they just do a lot of the same things. This is just a rogue set with just a very goblin themed rogue set. This I often feel that of all of the class tier sets, rogues, while they look cool, they tend to have like the same look. This hood with the mask and the goggles and stuff. That being said, though, this I think is really cool. Well, now that I look at maybe this thing, I don't know if I love this thing right here. I don't know. I don't know how much I like that just like kind of protruding out there. I like the face, but I don't know. I don't know if this set's doing it for me, to be honest. The green one looks pretty sick, actually. That's kind of crazy. Mad Max. The yellow set looks that goes crazy. Yeah, the yellow set looks crazy. All right, next. Male. This is they are really digging this kind of like half cloak thing that goes on the side. It looks a lot like the trading post. What is it? Oh man, the Warden set. That's what it is. The Warden set. They've been doing this a lot recently. I love it. I think it's really cool, and I love that it creates. I sometimes feel like, and they're doing better of this with the newer sets, obviously with the new models, but I sometimes feel like the legs of some of the transmogs, especially in the older sets, they feel too painted on. And when you have these really insanely oversized shoulder pads, it can make the proportions of the legs feel really funny. But when you add in this piece here, it does kind of even things out. Like even on this human model that's pretty top heavy, the silhouette from the shoulder, like the tip of the shoulder here down through the gauntlets, it kind of widens him at the bottom, which kind of creates this more blocky look, which I prefer. There's definitely some sets, and I'll pull this up in game. Let me see. If we go down here to some of like this set here, if we look at this set, you have all of this bulk around his shoulders, but then you look at the pants and it's literally just the legs. Like it's just painted on. And there is a little bit of 3D effect here, but then you have these big like shin pads and boots. And I don't know, to me, the legs just feel unproportional to everything else. And I know like the proportions in this game are wacky, but when you have something like this where he's got the almost like the skirt on or the dress, it does kind of even him out. But even like, look at this, like he's got skinny jeans on, but then he's got these giant shoulder pads with these big helmets. So when you then go and add in, and I know this is not plate armor, this is male, but when you add in this kind of like half skirt, half cloak thing, I do really think it evens everything out. I enjoy that a lot. I wish this was a little less leathery and more leaning into the yellow. Like the leather set is way more yellow. I like that kind of huge pop of color there. And I'm really biased. I love plate armor, but holy shit, look at this thing. This guy's nuts. And you can see they've done a better job too, like these leg plates really kind of create that bulk. And then you have the belt that's huge and then has this, I don't know what this is called. It's like the underside of a tabard or a tabard. But it really just evens them out. This looks super ominous. I think the green one goes hard, but dude, that you're going to catch me with this thing on constantly in this patch. I think they crushed. I think of all of these, I love pretty much. Yeah, I'd say these are pretty much a W. I think the leather set is a little bit for me, probably on the lower side of things, but this plate armor is one of my favorite sets in a long time, and I cannot wait to rock that set. All right. Finally, we have some pets, and now it is New Year's, and one of my kind of New Year's resolutions, the things I really want to get into in the WoW space, is I really want to start diving into some of the systems that I've neglected over the years. I've been pretty intimidated by the profession systems. Really want to get into that, but I also want to start getting into pet battles. There's been some really cool pets, especially two that I got this week, that make me want to engage with this mechanic more. So I really want to get into pet battles. I would love if you guys have any tips, if you're really an expert pet battler or have any like good guides on how to get started. I don't want like meta comps. I don't give a shit about that stuff. I want to learn, but I kind of want to know like where do I start? So if you have any cool like creators, videos, guides, let me know in the comments of where to kind of start there. But I mean, come on, stealing the show again. The T-Rex mount. You better fucking believe I'm gonna be running around on the T-Rex mount with this little guy running around next to me, and he comes in 4 color variations. So cool. This is incredible. I really enjoy the. I really enjoy these kind of pets here where you take like kind of like a villain or like this giant ominous thing and you turn it into this little kind of baby version. I think it's like a baby Yoda effect. It's cute every single time. It's hard to not like it. And this, I get the same kind of vibe here where you have this like really grumpy, angry dinosaur, but he's just a little baby. So freaking cute. All right. Next we have the hyena. This one's fine. I think honestly for me, it feels a little bit kind of like, okay, like baby animal. I think the only thing that saves it for me personally, hyenas are fine. I don't necessarily love them, but I think the goggles really do it for me. They look so goofy that kind of like it saves it for me. So there's a couple of the pets that are coming in 11.1. But moving on, next, we're going to go into what did I collect this week. All right, so what did I collect this week? Now, this week was the week of Christmas, and obviously it's New Year's, so it was a little bit slower. I was away seeing family for a day or so, and just spending time with my wife. So didn't have as much time to grind or play, and I also have started getting back into Diablo 4, which I'll probably make a video on that because I am having a blast. My wife was making fun of me. At one point, I was literally like giggling out loud with how much fun I'm having in that game. I'm playing a whirlwind barb with thorns and the dust devils. I'm having an absolute blast. I haven't played the expansion yet, so I bought that on sale and start playing with it. I'm gonna make a video on it 'cause I think it's so fun. It's so good. But what did I collect this week? So first thing I got is I got Chester. I'll summon him. I am obsessed with kobolds. So when I got this drop, I didn't even know that this was a thing. Like I didn't know Chester was a thing, but I got him. I got him randomly at the end of a delve, and I've been super stoked. He's been running alongside me for most of this week. Really adorable little guy. So excited to have gotten him. And then I also went out of my way and I went out to the Siren Isle and I got, oh my God, dude, they're killing it with these animations. When you summon him, he's so stoked. But this is Marmaduke. And this is when you're in the Siren Isle, there's this little, if you go into one of the, I wonder if I can pull up on the map actually. Yeah, right here. So if you go to this area right here, this house on the top floor that's kind of hidden in the back, there's a little squeaky duck toy. And once you pick that up, this guy, he's an actual NPC in the game. He kind of like patrols around here. And if you give him the toy, he will then run to the town here and he'll give you a quick quest. And the quest is literally pet him and you get him as a pet. Love it. They really know what they're doing with adding in these. I mean, the amount. I mean, how can you not like? Most people like cats, dogs, and stuff like that. So how can you not think this is the cutest little thing? He's got a collar on. It kind of reminds me in Diablo 4, one thing that has been kind of taking me out of the immersion of that game is I'm this giant barbarian screaming and spinning and killing demons, and they give you pets to collect stuff off the ground, and I have like a little husky pet, and it looks so out of place, and this kind of can feel out of place too, but I don't really care. He's too freaking cute. So I got him, I got Chester, and the other thing I got this week is I got another crackling shard while working on my chitin farm here. So I'm at 849 out of 1500. Again, I'm not really hyper focusing on this. I basically just every day I'll go over and I'll do a little loop. I'll kill some of the rares. I've been spending a lot of time over by the Cinder Brumetery and killing the wolves and the bees, but also killing the Nerubians here to get the chitin. And that's where I got actually one of the Nerubians is the thing that got me my 4th crackling shard. So really looking forward to kind of just, again, kind of just plugging my way through, trying to get all the crackling shards I need. I would really love to go into 11.1 with Alonira, so that's something I'm focusing on. But again, taking my time, not going to really force it too much. So those are the 3 things I got this week. What am I looking to get this week? I am still on the grind, the 20-day grind for my Winter Spring Frost Saber. Still working on him. Still working on Sizebarg. I'm still working on Crackling Shards, and I'm still working on the Death Charger. So if you weren't here last week, I am running the Strathholm Service Entrance Dungeon from Classic to try to get a chance at this Charger. What I'm also working on now this week is I'm going to be working my way through making sure I complete the Siren Isle. And so there's a few mounts from there. There's like that ship mount from the meta achievement. I think it is called I'll Remember You. Yeah, so this is something I'm working right now. It gives the mount the Breaker Song. I'm going to be working on that. I know there is the that kind of Raven like lightning mount that's been data mined for years. They finally got that done. I'm gonna get that done. There's also that. Let me look this up actually. Yeah, so basically what I'm looking to get this week is the 4 mounts that you can get from the Siren Isle. So we're looking at the 3-year Eyes of the Siren. Gonna try to grab that. The meta achievement is gonna get Breaker Song. Gonna be working on that. I am halfway through my weekly quest, or just the quest chain. It's a 10-day quest chain from the Snapdragon. Working on that, and then I will try to get the Wave Shredder. I want to try to get that done and just try to get everything done for the Siren Isle now. Before I always find it a little bit easier to work on those kind of like islands, patch areas. I try to do all the collecting while it's relevant, because if there's any need for groups, or like if you need to contribute to those little events, I want to make sure I do that while there's people around. I don't want to have to wait and go back there later on. That's one thing I've really been struggling with like something like Mechagon, is I need to go back and do Mechagon to get the achievement for the BFA meta achievement. But every time I go there, like the main thing that I struggle with is all of the items you get so many like nuts and bolts and all this stuff, and it clogs up. I already have a mess of a bag to begin with, and I tried to get this cleaned up, but this thing it has all of the current stuff I have from this expansion, and then to add in all of like the items that you get from Mechagon, it's too much. So I'd rather collect stuff while it's relevant. So having stuff like these Flame Blessed Iron caches in my inventory are relevant, and I don't have to go back and clog my inventory with more stuff later on. But that's everything I wanted to talk about this week. Again, I hope you really had a good holiday. I hope you have a safe and fun New Year's Eve. We're looking forward to making content for you guys in the new year. Let me know what you want this kind of show to be. I'm just kind of, honestly, with this YouTube channel, I'm just trying stuff. I just started, so let me know what you like in the comments. Let me know what you'd love to see, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.